I don't know you real well. We've interacted on social media a little bit. I've seen you do some podcast stuff. I've seen you post on LinkedIn and things like that about your company and some other things. And I just felt like you have interesting stuff going on. You're also an Oklahoma guy, which I should know and have a better relationship with anybody who's here local. And so I thought this was as good a way as any to kick that off. But for the people that don't know you or know your background, just tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, brief background, Max. Just like you said, Oklahoma guy, man. I'm oil and gas, born and bred. Just it's in my blood. It's in my family's blood. It's in all my friends' blood as well. It's just kind of born into it. It's funny, I had started following you like I want to say about 2 years ago, and we had tried to do podcasts here and there, and it kind of hit and miss. We hadn't got one together, but the same way I actually had met Adam Oxen with, I think that's right. Uh, I met him through his podcast. So he sent me a message on LinkedIn, was like, "Hey, do you want to do a podcast?" I was like, "Sure." Or an episode. I hopped on, and that's how I met him. So it's kind of an interesting way to meet people because you're forced to talk about things that you wouldn't almost naturally talk about, like sitting at a bus stop or something. I guess if you still did that nowadays. So it's kind of cool.
Oh, it's the best. I mean, that's honestly the biggest value I find realistically with the podcast. I mean, I think it's just a way to force yourself to network and just I mean, like sometimes, before I was doing the media stuff, I'd go for a couple weeks and I'm like, who did I really reach out to or like connect with in the last couple, you just get into the grind of like doing the work, right? And you forget to like to reach out and make connections. So I think that's what's valuable. I think it resonates a lot with me, the oil and gas in your blood comment and your family and friends being in it. I grew up with a dad who's a geologist and engineer, and my mom who worked on the like accounting side for a bunch of different oil and gas companies. And so I've grown up around it as well. One thing I listened to some of your stuff that you've put out there on the media side, and one thing that resonated with me was it sounds like you have a really close relationship with your dad. And from what I can tell, it sounds like he's kind of a mentor. Is that fair to classify it like that?
Yeah, it's very, very true. Someone asked me a question, at the grassroots, like, how did you start your business? And I told him it was almost pure nepotism. You know, not necessarily passed down, at another company and got promoted nepotism, but just, everything pipe, everything oil and gas, and then everything just as far as even morals, yeah, it all came down to my relationship with my father and working with my father from the age of, gosh, 6 to 8 years old up to today. And in the beginning, before he was in oil and gas, he was a firefighter, and he had just worked, 24 days on, 24 days off. And so on his off days, he would work side jobs. Like he never would come home and just be off for the whole day. So he was doing construction or roofing or tile or something like that. And those days off, I would go with him. And that led all the way through my whole life. I've worked with him, and I still do stuff. He'll call me up and be like, "Hey, I'm replacing the fence in the backyard." I'm like, "Dad, you can write a check and someone can do that in like 2 hours." He's like, "Nah, we're gonna spend all weekend doing it." So we still work on stuff together, man.